Hello everyone, Kaoz here, and welcome to another old school RuneScape video. I am finally back from Runefest, which I will tell you about in a future video, but while I was gone, a lot of exciting updates dropped and were announced both during Runefest and shortly after. I would normally make a few videos regarding the topics we will talk about today, but to get back in action, I will give you guys all the information in this one upload as we continue our weekly schedule. Boys and girls, the channel hit 100,000 subscribers while I was gone, so this will be the first time thanking you for this huge milestone. If you haven't, make sure to subscribe to know when new content goes live, so you can join our Discord server with the link in the description to play with me and our amazing community. So for today's topics, we will go over small quality of life changes added recently, and I'll tell you how it affects the way you play. We will talk about the latest iteration of the new Delve boss and its rewards, and finally, although a little late, we will talk about all the new content coming thanks to the 2025 roadmap shown at Runefest. On Thursday, I will upload a video going over the sailing alpha we got to try during the event, so you are ready to give it a try once it becomes available to everyone in late March. But no major spoilers about it in this video. Ladies and gentlemen, grab your favorite drink and snack, and let's begin. Something kind of awkward that happened to me is that right after I left home for my trip to Europe and Runefest, Jagex dropped a few quality of life changes for the POH that I would have loved to include in my guide, but there was nothing I could have done about it when the blog dropped. A piece of furniture you may potentially only use for the Desert Achievement Diary is that whenever you mount a boss head at the respective room, you can now switch the heads without having to remove the entire display. This is a big one if you have one of these rooms in your POH, since you can now display your trophy heads and swap them out whenever you want. We got some brand new styles for your POH in the form of Canifis and Civitas Fortis, which you can try out by going to the estate agent. If you didn't know, several years ago Jagex was going to give us new house designs and introduce them via partnerships like the purple skin from Twitch. But the community saw this as the beginning of microtransactions, and the poll was cancelled within like 24 hours. The maximum room capacity has gone up by 4, and the room cap has been adjusted so you can build more rooms depending on your construction level. We got improvements to several animations when doing things in the POH. If you happen to have a bookcase, all of the books are now shown in alphabetical order. And finally, something I didn't know because I don't have this pet, is that all versions of the beaver now display the correct text when talking to it at the POH. So in case you didn't read the blog, now you know a few improvements for your house. Let's now cover two quick ones, both of which were discussed in previous Game Jam sessions and are finally making their way to the live game. If you didn't know, Game Jam is a little period of time in which JMods have creative liberty to propose ideas and see what the community thinks to know if it's something they should expand on. Little reminder that none of them are guaranteed to make it to the game, because we have been waiting for more dog breeds to be added for like 3 years at this point. The first one has to do with enhanced crystal weapons and the design of Quiver. In the past, charging any of these items with crystal shards or sunfire splinters respectively would give you charges. When using said items, you would lose charges. Simple, right? This felt weird because if you didn't have the items to fully corrupt or bless them, you would just be wasting charges. After today's update, every shard or splinter you add to the respective item will contribute to the full amount needed, and if you add enough, they will transform eventually. In simple terms, let's say you get a quiver. You add 50,000 splinters to it, and if you use it, charges will go down. However, your overall progress to blessing the item will remain at 50,000. Even if your quiver is at, let's say, 20,000 charges, you will only need 100,000 splinters towards fully blessing it. And the same mechanic applies to the Bow of Ferdinand and the Blade of Seldor. The other one is that you can now configure the maximum number of charges you want for whatever item that requires those charges when you take them out of the bank. I will show you how to activate this and then a little demonstration of how to do it. Open your bank, click on the wrench on the top right, and check Bank Item Options. When you do this, items that can be charged will get a new option when you right-click on them called Configure Charges. When you click on that option, you will be asked how many charges you want the item to have whenever you take it out of the bank. Set the amount and you're good to go. Obviously, for this to work, you need to have everything needed to charge said item in your bank, and remember that this does not only apply to weapons. Other than the Timican Shadow, Trident, Sanguinesti Staff, and Revenant weapons to mention a few, this is also the case for crystal tools as long as you have crystal shards in your bank. From what I see in my bank, the only item this does not work with is the Scythe, because you need to charge it directly at the blood well next to the bank at the Theater of Blood. I don't remember when this change was proposed or even if there was a poll for it, but this is definitely a great quality of life change to stop worrying about item charges. With these minor updates out of the way, time to talk about some big items potentially making their way into old school RuneScape thanks to a new encounter. If you remember, we have talked about the new Delve boss, the Otso Ayak found in the Doom of Makayotl, coming with a third part of Alamor. But after some backlash from the community that originally started with Jagex offering a tradable best-in-slot mage cape, and the community, myself included, thought that this would be a tradable infernal cape or the Xana's quiver, Jagex went back to the drawing board and are back with a few bangers. At the time of making this video, people are still discussing the new items, so there's the chance that Jagex may change them again. And hopefully for a final time, before we get the definitive poll when new content drops around June or July. If you have any feedback, leave a comment down below. Let's start with a new item that will serve as charges to create and maintain the upcoming rewards. The Otso Ayak will drop a new tradable and consumable resource called Demon Tears, and this will be your quote-unquote currency to interact with some of the other items. Just keep in mind that Jagex hasn't decided how many are needed for each of the new additions. So for the items themselves, let's continue with something that didn't change much because the community was sort of okay with it. The Avernic threats will now drop as their base form and will be best in slot for ranged automatically. They will boast the same 1% magic damage bonus as the Eternal Boots, but will feature 1 less melee strength compared to the Primordial Boots. The cool part about it is that you can then feed it a pair of each of the previous best in slot boots, and adding Demon Tears to each of these infusions will give you the boots further strength to the combat style for which you gave them a pair of boots. Feeding them Primordials will get them 2 melee strength, feeding them Pegations will get you +1 range strength, and feeding them Eternals will get +1 magic damage bonus. Feeding any and all boots will make them untradeable. Wearing the base or any form of the upgraded versions will require level 80 in strength, defense, ranged, and magic. Should you want your original Jordans back, you can revert this process, but you're not getting the Demon Tears back. Jagex's thought process behind this change was that there's now no strict requirement for Pegation boots and, quote, alleviate economic pressure on this item. Because when this block dropped, Pegations were immediately panic bought in preparation for this new update. I'm really happy that it looks like the community was pretty okay with this item, because they look amazing and will now be best in slot for years to come. Up next we have a new mage weapon called the Eye of the Ayak. No mention of the previous proposal, which was a two-handed weapon called the Diabolical Aegis, so my guess is that it was scrapped for this. But the Eye of the Ayak will feature a 3-tick attack speed, which Jagex are labeling as a bridge between the Sanguinesti Staff and the Tunic in Shadow. Despite the Shadow being as powerful as it is, it's not the magic weapon to bring everywhere in the game. And this new staff will be optimal against monsters with low HP, since it will deal quick DPS. It also has a cool special attack which, at the time of making this video, costs 100% of your energy and will instead hit with an attack speed of 5 ticks. When used, it will have double accuracy and a 30% higher max hit. Whatever amount of damage you deal will lower your opponent's magic defense by that number. Think of it like a magic Bandos Godsword. The interesting part about it is that you will be able to charge it with both the Demon Tears or 2 Death Runes and 1 Chaos Rune per cast. From the way it's worded, it looks like you will be able to hold charges from both sources, but whenever you use it, Demon Tears will take priority, so it will use those first and then the runes. Not getting too much into the specifics of how the item would work in high-level PVM because this is not yet finalized and I don't want to make any crazy scenarios, but it looks like it will be a super fun weapon granted you can get your hands on it, and much like the Bofa, its main purpose will be to give you a great upgrade as you work on that Tunic in Shadow. A seemingly simple yet powerful item is something called the Mokayotl Cloth. Using this drop on the Tormented Bracelet will give you a new pair of best-in-slot magic gloves by the name Confliction Gauntlets, requiring 90 hit points to equip. They feature 20 magic offensive bonus and a whopping 7% magic damage bonus. However, this item seems to be causing some fuzz around HLC players because of its juicy passive effect, and it reads as follows. When you miss a magic attack with the gauntlets equipped, your next magic attack of the same type, which means the same weapon or spell, against the same enemy will roll accuracy twice. In this case, if you're using magic, and if you splash against an enemy, staying on the same NPC and weapon or spell, you will basically get an Osmumtem's Fang passive, giving you a higher chance of dealing juicy damage. Now, I'm not gonna sit here saying how this is insanely broken and it should never make its way into the game, because to me, big numbers equals big dopamine. But when I was on stream the other day, I was being told that basically, despite Jagex's best intentions of making this without making the shadow disgusting, it still kinda breaks it in a way because whenever the shadow may not hit often, it just makes the double roll naturally make the shadow more competitive in places where it shouldn't really be. Again, I'm not a numbers guy, so this was explained to me in a way to make it seem like you would be using the shadow at more places, and that would make it even more broken and viable at those places. I encourage you guys to read this one carefully and to not let the Reddit echo chamber manipulate you, because I am voting yes on this one, even if it's not changed. With enough backlash though, it's only a matter of time until Jagex tweaks it in some way. Maybe something simple like just straight up not working with a shadow, or making it so if your magic offensive bonus is high enough, the passive just does not trigger. It doesn't need to be scrapped, it doesn't need to be reworked, and it certainly does not need to be in a different slot. You can let me know what you think in a comment down below. Last but not least, we have a new spade called the Demonic Digger. This will be dropped by the Otso Ayak as an item called Burrowing Appendage, and combining it with an unspecified amount of demon tears, it will turn into a spade that will process all digging actions at once. This means that whenever you go on farm runs, all of your crops will be harvested instantly, and you will simply need to add compost and plant a new seed. This item came completely out of nowhere, and it looks extremely fun to use. If I get it, it may be an incentive to go back to hourly farm runs, since you'll be able to do them super quick as opposed to how you do them now. My only question is if you can bring it to chambers to avoid slow Buchu harvesting times, but it would be just a huge plus. I absolutely love this item, and if you ever see someone talking against it, you are legally required to make fun of them. Alright, that's it about the Otso Ayak, and now we jump into the juiciest part of the video, content announced at Runefest 2025. I'll go over these a little quicker because 1. They are farther away and we don't have as much information about them as I'd like, and 2. I will eventually make more videos about each of these releases when we know more about them, or when they're about to hit the live game. As always, I will order them from least to most exciting in my personal opinion. Something that still continues to confuse me is Project Zonaris, and the way they presented it just makes it even more clear that it may be a way for people to create servers for challenges or even niche events. As it stands, this isn't something that will work for the long term because why would you play on something that isn't official? I mean, at least the leagues gives you main game rewards, but everything created with Project Zonaris will be completely isolated, and I don't really see any server holding up for longer than a few weeks. If you have any counterpoint, please leave your ideas in the comments below. We got more news about Jagex's own HD client, and something new they mentioned is the fact that there will be plugin support coming at some point. Some may see this as exciting, but this is just one more thing to worry about because it could spell trouble for Runelight. I don't want to be the bearer of bad news or fearmonger, but the more Jagex competes with Runelight, the more reasons they will have to shut it down, but I really hope this is not the case. Something that looks a little more exciting is a future iteration of the Deadman game mode, and I may even give it a more serious try this time around. Not only do I want to grind my own cosmetics because the Voidwaker ornament kit is a little expensive, the breaches looked super entertaining, but when I went in almost entirely blind and I couldn't even be part of the fun because I got killed pretty quickly. Even if you didn't like Deadman, it will surely make for cool content from different PvP creators. An update that continues to be pretty controversial is sailing. Like I said before, I'm not going to talk too much about it, because I have a video going over the pre-alpha shown at Runefest on a video I'm uploading on Thursday. But I'm super happy to say that what I played made me change my mind about the skill proposal. Now, don't get too excited, this will definitely not be as fun as a raid for example, but it's really not going to be as bad as people make it out to be, especially on Twitter and Reddit. It was announced that if everything goes right, we may even get Old School RuneScape's first new skill as early as fall 2025, or maybe even a little later. I guess it all depends if Jagex can make it through a few more polls and get community excited for this one. Summer will bring with it a ton of quality of life changes, including elemental weaknesses for more monsters, making halberds better and being able to hit Zulrah, adjusting drop tables to avoid pumping so many resources in the game, and some nice Slayer improvements we simply can't say no to. These include reworking the block list, merging some monsters together for flexibility for your tasks, adjusting perk prices, and most importantly, adjusting Inferno tasks and even reworking the Abyssal Sire, which is an insufferable encounter. Not much can be said about Valimor Part 3 because I'm already super excited for it, and I've talked about its contents in a few videos already. This will be the feature update during summer of 2025, bringing the finale to the Twilight Emissaries questline along a ton of new content. Things we have mentioned in previous videos and even this one include the new Delph boss, a new fletching activity, the Custodia Pass, and a new Slayer dungeon. Not to mention more quests along the grand finale to the Valimor series. Things not mentioned in the blog but shown on the roadmap include something called the Tlati Rainforest and the Auburn Valley. I really hope Jagex surprises us with more content like they did in the second part of Valimor, like the Amoxliatl which came out of nowhere. The runner-up spot is the grand finale to the Vampire series with a quest called Blood Moon Rises. Not a lot is known about this epic adventure other than it will be in the Grandmaster category, you will venture into the vampire realm called Vampirium, and maybe you will get to fight Drakan himself. This is planned to hit the live servers in early 2026, so I can't really talk too much about it because it's just so far away. You can let me know in a comment below what you expect out of this brand new adventure. And finally, the announcement a ton of people are super excited about is a brand new endgame duo boss by the name Yama. This is planned to release around spring of 2025, so we are pretty close to it. And with it, we will get some brand new rewards. I will talk about them relatively quickly on this video, and make a new one whenever we have more information. Or even all the way up to the release. One of the potential rewards is an upgrade to the Death Charge spell in the Kaoz spellbook. Casting the upgraded version would make it so you get to enjoy the effects of the base one twice. So you will need to slay your enemies in quick succession, to trigger twice and get ready for a new spell after the cooldown of 60 seconds. The Surge potion will be a new brew added to the game which you can make from a Torstal potion, and a new item called Demonic Tallow. When consumed, one dose will recover 25% of your special attack energy, but this will have a hefty cooldown of 5 minutes to avoid abusing it. The interesting thing about it is that these potions will be untradeable, so money making is out of the question and will be for your own use. Yama will drop an item called a Cosmic Catalyst, which will let you make a new type of combination rune. Requiring level 90 rune crafting, this combines Cosmic and Soul runes into one, which I'm not really sure how it will be used, but any update to rune crafting is much appreciated. We also have something called Abyssal Worms, which will increase the catch rate of anglerfish, meaning you'll be able to fish them much quicker since they are currently one of the slowest activities to do in the entire game, like mining amethyst, or almost the entirety of the end game fishing skill. And now for the big boy drops. If you're lucky, you'll be able to get your hands on a new slash armor set, which for now, Jagex are calling the Soul Armor. You can see the stats on screen, but the TLDR is that this is going to be a side grade for Torva. The Soul set will have superior slash offensive bonus at the cost of some strength bonuses, which may come in handy at some places where you would prefer accuracy over 1 or 2 max hits. The cool part about it is that Jagex acknowledges the fact that this may take Blood Torva away from the spotlight. Because of this, it is confirmed that Yama will have its own variant of a hard mode, giving Soul Armor its own cosmetic upgrade to truly flex on the shitters. I cannot wait to see how hard this challenge will be, and who I will take on this new endgame boss to reap the rewards together. Finally, we have an item called a Soul Flame Horn. As a weapon itself, it looks like it will be pretty weak, which is why its special attack is the star of the show. When used, your closest allies within 2 tiles will have the accuracy of their next melee hit splat increased by 100 for the next 6 seconds, including special attacks. If the target is an NPC, you will always hit, and this also applies to you. The catch is that the special attack will cost 25% energy for every player affected, but this does not include you. This means you can boost to 4 teammates and have the bonus applied to you in a single use, or you can use it up to 4 times on one player, and all of those will benefit you as well, which seems like the better scenario. However, we will just have to wait and see how this affects group content like raids, or even Yama itself. In my opinion, Old School RuneScape has an insane amount of content coming up in 2025, and I don't think there will be many players left wondering what to do. From AFK skilling activities to a brand new endgame duo boss, it looks like this point-and-click medieval fantasy browser game for children is about to get even better. So boys and girls, that's pretty much it for this video. I hope you enjoyed and you learned something useful. If you did, tell me which of the topics mentioned in this video you are most excited about and why, and if you include the term RSN and your username in your comment, you'll be entered in our weekly bond giveaway, for which we will pick a winner on Friday's stream. I want to give a chunky thank you to all the wonderful people you see on screen for supporting this channel monetarily. Your contributions go directly to my starving family in a third world country, and a local animal shelter we help every month. If you want to be part of this list of legends, click the join button below to see all the cool perks and rewards you can get in the videos, in the live streams, and of course in the Discord for a monthly fee. In the next one, we will go over the Sailing Alpha I tested at Runefest and show you how this potential new addition to the game can bring an infinite amount of content. For now, I hope you have an amazing day, have an amazing week, and I will see you then. Peace.